Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, September 4th, 2025 Scarborough Board of Education Business Meeting. Can we call the, no, can everyone please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda item 3.0 is attendance. Ray, can we call the attendance, please?
Yes. Ms. Jacobs.
Here.
Mr. Kelleher.
Here.
Ms. Lindstrom.
Here.
Mr. Rockenstein.
Here.
Ms. Tarpinian.
Here.
Ms. Tarpini Huff.
We see her.
She's there.
Oh,
She gave a
she's
wave.
waving. Yes.
I actually can now barely hear anybody. I'm sorry if I interrupted anybody just now.
No. Can you hear us now?
Can you hear
It
me?
sounds like I'm sitting
Oh, because it's that
It's because
microphone.
it's the owl.
It's that microphone, not
we-
this one.
Well, let him finish calling the attendance and then I'll address it.
All right.
No, it is okay.
And Ms. Gonzalez. Sorry.
Here.
Welcome to your first meeting.
Thank you.
Abby is not with us tonight because she has her very first soccer game this evening. So good luck to the girls soccer team. We are having some technical difficulties, and so we are actually on the owl for tonight's meeting. And so Jillian, I'm not sure we can can we?
Move the owl closer.
Yeah, we might have to move it a little closer to us so that
Or
you can hear
talk.
us.
Louder than we normally might.
We might have to blow Diane's ears right out.
I have a teacher voice. It's okay.
Everybody will have to. What happens if you don't have a teacher voice?
Find it. Find it.
Fake it for tonight.
I have the outdoor voice at all times voice. How's that? Is that better, Jillian?
No.
No?
If I don't respond to roll call, just
You can't unplug
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna-
Maybe.
We'll assume it's a
Yeah.
yes.
It's very hard. It's very hard. It's like I can barely hear. I have. We'll do what we can. That's all.
Yeah.
Take the week off.
It's at 100%.
All right. I will just speak really, really loudly. Agenda item 4.0 is the consent agenda, and so this is not a non-action item, but just something for the board to look at. That is the September resignations, retirements, and new hires, so I draw your attention to that. Agenda item 5.0 are adjustments to the agenda. I don't have any this evening, but are there any others?
No.
Okay. Agenda item 6.0 is the superintendent report. So for this, I'll turn it over to Diane.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Excited to share with you that our schools are officially open and lots of smiling faces on the parts of our students. As I had shared with you at our August meeting, our middle school and high school students started last week. And our elementary students started on Tuesday. So we are very excited to have all of our students back. As you take a look at the slide deck, you will see that currently our enrollment sits at 2,852 students. I will remind you that this is a very fluid number. Given that school has just started. This is the time of year where we continue to get either new enrollments or requests for records from students who may have moved over the summer. And so I feel that by our October report, we will have a more solidified number at that time. But you can see what the numbers are looking like at each of our grade levels. You can also see that we have our information on out-of-district placements. Those are students that go to specialty purpose private schools to have their needs met. And then, as I have communicated to you previously, anyone who lives in Scarborough who is selecting to homeschool students also have to register with us. And so that is another number that we track. And so those are our currents. Moving ahead, I want to just talk a little bit about our school opening, our district opening that happened with staff a week ago on Tuesday. I know a couple of you may have been able to join us and, may have your own thoughts on what that was like. But we were really excited to bring our district staff together. We like to start with a breakfast for all employees so people can make connections and reconnect with other staff. And then we have our convocation that happens in the auditorium. And this year, in addition to the remarks that we give, we also hosted a great guest speaker. His name is Jordan Toma. I believe I had let you know that he was going to be coming. And from the reports that we've received, both narrative from staff that I've bumped into, and then also from the staff survey that we give every time we do professional development, he was very well received. And so that seemed to be value added for the majority of our staff. Also, at our district opening, we always recognize our employees across the district for years of service. And so you'll see on this slide, we start with that recognition at the 10-year level. And so we have a number of folks that we congratulated for 10 years of service. I won't read those to you. I think that you can probably read them. But we're just continually amazed. I know that you as a board always tell me how impressed you are about the people that we are able to attract to positions. And I'm here this evening to let you know that not only do we attract these people, but we also have very high levels of retention, as you'll note through the next few slides. So if we go on to the next slide, we congratulated a number of people at the 15-year level of service. And then more people at the 20-year level of service. And moving forward, a hearty group at the 25-year level. And we had one staff member who met her 30th year of service this year, Jenny Robinson, who teaches 6th grade for us at the middle school. And then finally, we recognized one of our employees for 35 years of service, and that is Stephen Brown. And he is one of our bus drivers and is pretty amazing. And maybe one of you have been fortunate enough to have him as a driver for your students. But very dedicated. So again, I just can't say enough about how much we appreciate that our employees choose to remain with us and our Scarborough through and through. So that is certainly something worth noting. Before I finish my report, I actually am going to pass the next piece that I don't have a slide for on to Ray, who is going to provide for you an update about our track. As you know, there has been ongoing work to complete the turf and track project this summer.
Okay, so I do have an update written here that I will read to you, just to give you the full update and make sure I don't forget anything. We're delighted to report that the track renovation project at the high school complex is almost complete, just in time for the official start of the fall season. We do have games out there this evening as our first night of the season, and games tomorrow as well. All major components of the project are complete except for the final track surfacing, which is currently planned for the spring of 2026. Work will continue for approximately 2 more weeks on the electrical conduit and wiring on the back of the building, back on the wiring to the track, buildings, and the scoreboard, which are currently without power, as the restoration of the disturbed areas outside the perimeter fence, including the irrigation system, will also be finished here shortly. So currently, the power on the far side where you come in, where the scoreboard is not up. So this weekend for games, it'll be a portable scoreboard running off a generator for that. But then shortly thereafter, next week or so, that will be back up and running. Since the start of construction in June, the project has included these stages: detaching and rolling back the turf, demolition and excavation of the existing track. The contractors found another entire track buried under our top layer, grinding and compacting and leveling the track subbase, installing new curbing, drainage stone, and a slot drain which circles the entire field, grading and paving the track in the D zones with 2 layers of asphalt, repaving areas adjacent to the bleachers and pathways for ADA accessibility, installation of new track and field equipment, discus, shot put, high jump, long jump, and triple jump areas, installation of new football goalposts, installation of new safety netting and perimeter fencing with access gates, installation of new electrical conduit to serve the municipal drive side of the field, reinstalling the shock pads and resizing and attaching the turf to the new curb, painting and top dressing and grooming the turf field. And this has just been a huge undertaking requiring coordination of many different parties. And a special thanks are due to Kate Bolton, Todd Jepson, Mike Legage, Jordan Ferreira from the school department, Casey Cunningham and Scott Turcott from Community Services, and Donnie Mitchell and from Mitchell's Electric, Andrew Godfrey of Woodward and Curran. We truly appreciate the patience of everyone, in the Scarborough community that they have given us, because we do recognize it's been a lot to have this offline for the summer, and we are excited to have it back open this evening for our first events. Any questions on the turf and where we're?
Not on the turf, but I want to go back to the recognitions. I think we have, if I remember the statistics, like 500 and something employees employed at Scarborough Schools, like in the middle of 500s. That was 56 recognitions. So more than 10% of our staff have been with us for more than 10 years. That's insane. Like that's insane in retention.
Yeah.
Those are in the list that Diane presented, those are the people that.
And
So
you're in the middle.
yeah, so like year 11, 12, 13, 14, we didn't
count
see.
that. We didn't count any of them.
Yeah, we didn't
Right,
count any of
exactly.
those.
That's an enormous.
Yeah, so that percentage is even higher. When
Yeah.
you-
This is just at the 5-year marks,
Yeah,
starting
so-
at the 10th year.
That, I would no homework, but I'm
Yeah.
just as in, like nerding out on numbers a little bit. Would be fun to see what our average length of stay is. Just
Yeah,
curiosity,
we could
like, that
probably
number's-
get you for
that
a
number's
future
crazy.
meeting, like
Yeah.
how many employees have been with us at least 10 years?
Something like that,
How
like,
many
yeah.
at least 15, so that it's not just at those numbers.
It doesn't have to be. I just was like looking at those numbers and I was like, that's not going to be 50 people. So then I was like, now I have to count because it's in my head. So I
Right.
counted and it's like 56
Yeah.
people. Like, we only have like 500 something people working for us. So that's,
Mm-hmm,
we recognize more than 10% of our staff population
Right.
today. That's fantastic.
yeah.
Sorry, I just got it.
No, I
don't
think that's
apologize.
great.
Down that
Nerd out
rabbit
on the
hole.
numbers. We like it.
All right, are there any other questions for Diane or for Ray? It's very exciting about the turf and very exciting about our staff recognition. So thank you to both of you. All right, agenda item 7.0 is the chair report. I do have a few things this evening. Let me go down. Okay, so one of the things we talked about doing in our strategic planning session is looking at our goals every month and just seeing where we're at. So as a reminder, this is our first goal, that we were going to collaborate with the town council to pass the 2025 school solution, referendum on November 4th, 2025. So what we are doing with this, I'm not going to read through all the action items, but we have had some really good progress here. We have had a flurry of events, starting with Summerfest and then going through the ice cream socials at the primary schools in Wentworth, the middle school sneak peek, and then including the next couple of weeks, we have our open houses. So there's been a lot of activity, and I'm really excited that we've had board members at, I think, almost everything. So that's been really, really exciting. We have board members participating by volunteering. And then we have, we have Jillian and myself are serving on the communications committee. Jillian is leading the social media subcommittee, which is charged with creating the social media material. So she's leading that committee. I'm leading the volunteers and then the canvassing subcommittees. And so I'm charged with really creating these opportunities to speak to the community, to the larger community. So that goal we are doing very well on. So that'll continue on. Our second goal is to, if you could move. Who do I go to? Thank you, Cheryl, if you wouldn't mind moving. Yes. This one's is a huge goal. This is the school board will actively work to strengthen engagement between the school district and the broader community, fostering meaningful relationships, encouraging open dialogue, and creating opportunities for involvement that reflect the shared values and goals of our schools and residents. We are also doing some good work here. Some of this will be covered. I'm sure Charlotte's going to cover some of this with her update, but we have a sneak peek is we have a new events page on our website. So we have finished action item number 2 entirely. That is completely done. The other thing that we just did tonight is we did work as a policy committee on action item number 4. So you'll hear, not tonight, but at our next meeting, you'll hear an updated policy about our board committee. So we are recommending to change the name. So we would have action item 4 completed as well. So lots of good things here. And then the other thing that the communication or the new community outreach committee is working on is the action item 1, which is the fall community gathering. So again, I'm sure you'll hear more about that in the coming committee updates. And our third goal, thank you, is the school board will promote a district-wide culture of inclusion and success through ongoing development in all subject areas, student support opportunities, social emotional learning, and through district-wide DEI work. So what we have done here is we have scheduled our board workshop for January 15th. That's when we will define what DEI means for Scarborough. So that'll be coming up, which will allow us to start in on this goal. So all in all, considering we just did these, a month and a half ago, we've done some pretty good progress already. So that is pretty exciting. I will also say that in this one, in the last one, the second goal, the last action item was for the school board to actively participate in all facets of the board work. And so I would say that the attendance at the events that I mentioned earlier would also fall under that as us honoring that goal. So we have done some pretty good work. Okay, so my second, this is our next 2 workshops, just in an effort for more transparent communication. Next board meeting, so in 2 weeks, our workshop will be on truancy, absenteeism, and superintendent agreements, just to get a better understanding of those, what that data looks like for Scarborough, what those things mean. And then October 16th at 5:30, we will have a legislative update, and I am pleased to say that all of our locally elected officials have agreed to come. So that is super exciting. So that's our opportunity to talk to them about issues that are impacting us in Scarborough, things we would like them to focus on, and hear from them what they think for us as well. So it'll be a good opportunity. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, couple more things. I received a request from a community member in regard to creating an oversight committee for the budget for the school project, should the school project be approved at referendum. And so I honestly, I was unfamiliar with Scarborough's history with these committees. I didn't know if we had one with Wentworth. I didn't know if we had one with the public safety building. I just am a little unsure about what that process looks like. So I have reached out to the town council and Councilor Seither specifically, just to get a better idea of what this historically has looked like. One of the other pieces of the question was, if we do seat a committee, who will sit on it? Is it going to be community members? Is it only going to be school board employee or district employees? Is it going to be counselors? Like, who would sit on that committee? And so because I wasn't here when we did this last time, I just want to get a little bit more information. And then from there, we can talk about it, and really the council probably will talk about it as well. I guess from what I did hear already, there was a committee with the Wentworth School that Todd Jepson was on. Community members were on as well. So there is a history there. I just don't know fully what that looks like. So more to come with that. And then I think that is all I have for today. Let me just verify. All right, is there any questions? Any questions for me? All right, our agenda item 8.0 is our committee reports. Our first one is, I'll just do this, Jillian, is that good? Okay. Our ad hoc school building communications committee, that is a mouthful, has been meeting regularly once a week, every Tuesday. They've been doing a lot of really, really good work. It's really quite impressive, the amount of things that are happening at one time. And I'm not sure if I said this at our last meeting or not, but the committee is broken up into subcommittees that are working offline and then coming together and updating the rest of the committee during these weekly committee meetings. So there is a website committee that is really, really working hard on updating the website with current information. It was in the past, it was information about the second building committee. And so now they're working to update it with stuff now. If you've not taken a look, the website link is down at the bottom of this slide. I would really suggest you go look. They have done fantastic work there. So that's ongoing. We have sandwich boards up now at all the schools. I know you mentioned in policy, you saw it. So they are up at all the schools and that'll be a permanent stay. Those sandwich boards will stay there permanently through referendum. So that is good. It's at all three primaries, Wentworth, the middle school, and the high school. They are also looking to post those sandwich boards at both entrances of the turf and track during sporting events. So not necessarily have tables there, but to have something to draw people's eye when they're going into the track and turf. There's a media relations subcommittee that's really working hard on there's a big article that'll be in the Scarborough Living magazine. They're actively working on that. There was a great article in the Press Herald about the school project, really positive, really forward-looking. It was a really good coverage of the project so far. So that was really good. So really trying to find these opportunities to just engage with the community and share with them what's going on. These are the next events that are coming up. I think we are now full on the open house with volunteers. On the open houses, all of them, where we really, really need help is the farmer's market. So the farmer's market are every Sunday. They are, I think it's 9 to 1. If you work a table, you can't leave early and you can't come late. So we have to commit to the day. So if you're able to do so, there is a Sign Up Genius to volunteer, and I know they need somebody this Sunday. So if you are open this Sunday, that would be really fantastic. The other thing is we owe a huge debt of gratitude to Cheryl. She worked so hard with me to help me get these get packages together for our volunteers. So thank you very, very much. We have suitcases that are full of information for volunteers, talking points, things to consider, paper, tablecloths, you name it, it's in that suitcase that we've created. And so the idea behind that is as people are signing up to volunteer places, they can just go pick up that suitcase and go to the event, and everything they should need is included in there. So thank you very, very much for that. And I think that is everything right now for them. They're doing lots of hard work. Any questions for that? All right, our next meeting is community outreach, so I'll send this over to Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. So for this community outreach report, we did a lot of work this past month, large in part to Shannon and Brian. I'm not sure where he's from, but thank you, Brian. To launch an event page on the Scarborough district page. It links to a calendar that gives all of the events for the high school athletics. Non-sporting events will be managed separately and have more flexibility on how they'll be displayed on the calendar, but would be displayed within the same list and can be seen on the link below on the slides. We're still working on getting a date set for the community fall forum, but my hope is that we'll have a date set by our next community outreach committee meeting. Our regular meetings will be 5 p.m. on the third Thursday of each month before our second school board meeting of the month. But the goal would be to shoot for late September, early October for the Community Fall Forum.
Awesome, thank you, Charlotte. Are there any questions for Charlotte? Yeah.
Just want to say a comment. This events page with the sporting events is really, really great. I hope people take advantage of it. I think it's really awesome that you can see, again, our soccer girls are playing away tonight, but you can see like there's football games coming up at Thornton Academy, which isn't too far, volleyball and golf, and all of the amazing, we recognize our athletes periodically here, which is really fun. But I think it would be really great to see, as we engage with the community more, have them come out. And I think we were talking about football games and Friday Night Lights types culture, which is not something that has been historically really strong, but it would be great to see people come out and support the good sporting events here. If you have learned anything about Scarborough, we have really strong sports programs, and there's many reasons to be proud of our students that go beyond sports, but sports is one of them. And we should absolutely celebrate our young athletes. They're doing a great job.
I just want to add one more thing that you had emailed about today, that Brian added the events page to the calendar page, so it's accessible in 2 different spots, which is very helpful.
Very good, thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Frayla. All right, let's see. Finance, is there anything for finance that you have in the way of updates, Mitchell?
Just working on getting our next meeting set up. By the looks of it, it will be the 10th at 5:30. Just need to get an agenda put together and everything all set for that.
Perfect. Thank you. And John, anything for long-range planning?
Yeah, we're looking to, Todd said he's just ridiculously busy until beginning of October, so after the 5th, we're going to have a meeting that week, so, and then we'll have another one after the referendum. We'll see. Hopefully, it'll be a good one and not one we're scrambling.
Hopefully so. All right, thank you. And then Frayla, negotiations.
So thank you. Yay, we finished our last year's contracts right on time and get back to work. We're getting to engage with the SE to start on this year's contract. It's the ed-tech contract, global like support services. It's an important contract. We moved to a 2-year cycle, so I'm looking forward to getting that kicked off this year.
Awesome. And you want to keep going with policy?
Yeah, so we just had our policy meeting. Our monthly meetings are before our first meeting of the school board meeting of the month. You will see a lot of the policies listed for second reading this evening on the left-hand side in our materials for today, because we'll go through them. And then Sorry about that. We'll go through, second reading, you'll see coming up all the policies that we went through, last time. And then we have actually made some good progress on some future policies. Again, we're not gonna put, policies we discussed today are gonna go on the next board meeting. But we've gone through the class size, notification of board meetings. I think I didn't put on here, public comment, or public engagement during meetings. But we'll be going through those policies pretty quickly. And, I'm hoping that we're cranking back up and back to our introducing policies every meeting, because that, makes us feel like we're getting all of the policies reviewed. Again, the goal is to bring our policies, everything be reviewed and up to date, because some of them haven't been reviewed since 2001 at this point.
Perfect, thank you. Do you want to say anything about the town?
Oh, very exciting news. The policy committee has been working for, at this point, is it 2 or 3 years? To get engagement with the town council policy committee, which is not as active of a committee as it is on our side, regarding naming of school buildings. Currently, our Scarborough is kind of an outlier in that we have no formal policy for naming buildings, parks, fields, recognitions in the town, well, which is a bit unusual, and so it's kind of ad hoc. If some group comes up, it goes to the town council and it can get done. Given that we have this large project coming up, hopefully, and it seemed like a good time to think about that as people talk about how things are going to be named and how those decisions are made. We would like to have a policy that we can point to to the town about how that happens. We also would like to have input into the buildings our students are going to have. So the students, buildings that are occupied by the school, again, we're not going to make decisions and be final deciders, but we would like some input into the process. And the town council has been really open to that, so I'm very optimistic. We're going to have a meeting next week, and maybe I know Michael Gage has done a tremendous amount of work bringing policies forward. We're sharing that material with the town council, and I'm optimistic that hopefully we can get something moving forward so that everybody in Scarborough knows how things get named. And if they're interested in having something named or recognizing somebody, there's a way to do that.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions for Mitchell, John, or Freyla? All right, are there any liaison reports? All right. We'll move right along then. Agenda item 10.0, our student report. So for her very first time, Sarah.
Well, school just started, so there isn't a whole lot to report on. This week, a lot of the high school sports have their first regular season games, including the girls and boys soccer's, who have their first game tonight. And then in the picture above, Abby took this picture. It's the seniors doing their senior walk-up from Memorial Park.
I have to say, that is a beautiful mural on the right-hand side. The horse.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Did a student paint that? Wow.
Yeah, most of the art around the high school is all student
made.
made.
Absolutely.
That's gorgeous. Wow. Very nice. All right. Any questions for Sarah?
Just a comment. Good job. You got your first one done. That's probably the hardest one.
Yay. All right, agenda item 11.0 is the school solution referendum. I provided an update on the communications committee, and that that's about the extent of our update this week. We just are working hard to push forward in educating our community really about the need, why we're doing this now, what the project looks like. One thing I did forget to mention, the committee is looking at doing some mailers of the layout, what the project will look like to the general public. So just continuing along on that front. All right, agenda item 12.0 is general public comment. Is there anyone online? No, and not seeing anyone here. I will close general public comment. Agenda item 13.0 is continuing business. 13.1 is the second reading of policy KF, use of school facilities. I'm going to bundle this with second reading of policy KFR, the use of school facilities regulations, and policy KFP, use of school facilities fee schedule.
That's a big bundle.
That was,
It's a big bundle.
yes.
So the suite of KF, KFR, and KFP is in your materials. We received no substantive feedback from the public or from board members between first reading and now second reading. What this does really is just set forth how our facilities are used, what the priority for the use is. Obviously, school uses get first priority, and then community uses, and then it sets out, and where we did the vast majority of the work is setting out the fee, making sure the fees were brought up to date and accurately reflected the cost the school incurs when an organization rents our facilities, so that we're not essentially subsidizing community groups for the cost of our custodians and kitchen staff and other requirements. Happy to take any questions if there's any questions about the policies.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the second reading of policy KF, use of school facilities, policy KFR, use of school facilities regulations, and KFP, use of school facilities fee schedule as
So moved.
presented?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? Okay, can we call the vote, please?
Yes. Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Penny Huff?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
All right, that shows unanimous, thank you. Agenda item 13.4 is the second reading of policy EEAA, student transportation services.
So this policy, we received no substantive feedback from the community or board members. What this policy, the tweaks we made in this policy are minor, but can have major implications. We increased the distance from which the board has reasonably determined a student can travel from the end of their driveway to the closest bus stop and be transported to school. Again, currently, and we made that language permissive and not required. So it's an up to language, which gives some discretion so that bus stops can be arranged appropriately for the transportation department. I introduced this last time, but I want to say again, we spent months on this policy. Ray specifically did a tremendous amount of work and research into if there was a way to consolidate to save bus routes, because having not enough bus drivers is a perennial issue. And we know that buses sometimes get delayed because of outages, and we were trying to figure out if there was a way through policy that we could alleviate some of that congestion. There was not a way to do it that wouldn't have a tremendous student impact and wouldn't have saved enough to warrant that kind of disruption. But we're hopeful that this policy, particularly with the likely changes that are coming up that we're going to face in the future, whether it's a new building or not, with the space issues that we're going to start facing pretty quickly, this will allow a little bit of flexibility in arranging those bus stops. And that's really what the change is. There's no anticipated current change to policy, and currently we transport every student to school if they would like to be transported to school. And that is not going to change right now. It may, if it does in the future, there will be a tremendous amount of outreach and discussion before that happens. It's not going to happen overnight or in a board meeting.
All right, are there any questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the second reading of policy EEAA, student transportation services as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Can we call the vote, please?
Yes. Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Penny Huff?
Yeah.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
All right, that shows unanimous, thank you. 13.5 is the second reading of policy IHBB, gifted and talented education.
So this policy, we got no significant feedback from the public or other board members having to do with gifted and talented education. This policy is relatively short, but just recognizes the significance of making sure that every student in our district is challenged and appropriately educated, no matter what their particular strengths are. So with that, happy to take questions, but the policy just recognizes and authorizes gifted and talented education, which is mostly governed by state statute at this point.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the second reading of policy IHBB, gifted and talented education as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Can we call the vote?
Yes. Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
That shows unanimous, thank you. 13.6 is the second reading of policy KCD, public gifts, donations to the schools.
This policy does have some substantive changes. We received a little bit of feedback from our business office, which would process all the donations, for some clarification in the language, because we made some significant changes from our existing policy. Our existing policy had essentially caps in it in terms of, it had amounts that would specifically trigger action. And so at our policy meeting today, we made some changes. I would actually recommend tabling this to the next meeting so that we can publish those changes for everyone to see, because they are substantive, and therefore I don't think it's appropriate to vote on us, because we are recommending some changes without proper notice.
All right, so we have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, can we call the vote?
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Ms. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstein?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
That shows unanimous, thank you. So we will table this. I should have asked you this in advance, but would you mind just going over the changes so as people are reading?
Happy to, yeah. So what we did with this policy is we wanted to sort of balance, the old policy is usually indicated that if the gift was over $250 from a board member or $500 from anybody, the board would accept that. And traditionally, it's presented to the board and we vote on it. This new policy allowed, sort of like authorized the acceptance of the gift, but was silent as to anything other than the fact that we would say thank you at a board meeting. One of the issues that came up is if anyone has students in the district right now, often there are lists sent out of supplies that the school would accept if you're willing and able to donate. So boxes of tissues, pencils, items like that, and many parents have done that. There's no, we do not have the time, and there's not an interest in making sure that we thank every individual parent who saw fit to donate, although we do absolutely thank them and are grateful for all of the support the community gives to our students with the things the teachers needed. Obviously, people are aware that teachers invest a tremendous amount into their classroom and some of their own financial resources. And so to the extent that the community is willing to step up and help those, we do absolutely appreciate that and don't want to take away from that at all. But we also don't need to vote on every box of tissue, because that would become burdensome. It would not allow us to do our business, and it wouldn't actually be significant to those who have chosen to donate. So what we did is we added in a clause, essentially another sentence, that said, if there is a $500 gift or more, then we would accept it formally through a vote, just like we usually do. And that would allow us to publicly and transparently tell everybody who is being extremely generous with our school district, allow us to publicly recognize donors who donate significant amounts to our district and thank them. And then there's a minor edit with the board may instead of will accept gifts in the second paragraph, having to do with if we choose to take on gifts that we incur a cost to either take on or to support. And that the example is for if a piano, we take on a piano, we also take on the cost of maintaining that piano. So there are some gifts that come with maintenance or installation costs. And this will allow us to accept that. Doesn't require that we accept it, doesn't require that we reject it. But the minimum threshold does change into that. It brings back the fact that we will vote on gifts that are $500 or more, and we picked that number. It's somewhat arbitrary, but it's it's our customary practice that we have been doing, and it's a significant amount so that we can recognize some high-level donors and also be transparent about that, but without bogging our meetings down with every time somebody comes to school. And is generous, although we don't, it's not to take away from the generosity of our parents and our community. We appreciate every box of tissue and every box of pencils, and those we put to good use.
All right, thank you so much for that update. All right, agenda item 14.0 is new business. 14.1 is the MSBA proposed resolutions. As a reminder, the annual delegate assembly is coming up, and Charlotte is representing us for Scarborough. And so these proposed resolutions are what she will discuss on our behalf at the delegate assembly. And so this is our opportunity to provide feedback to her. I didn't put them in the slides because they have been on the website, available for the public, and I thought it would be easier for us to talk if we didn't have the slide deck up. So I would just ask you to pull up your materials and follow along separately. So I think the easiest thing to probably do, some of them are replacements and rewrites, and probably don't need as much attention as the stuff at the beginning, which are the new proposed resolutions and the proposed deletions. But we'll go through one at a time, and we'll kind of talk through and provide our opinion. So the way that this works for our newer board members is we'll talk through it, and then at the end, ultimately, we'll have provided Charlotte with information for her to carry forward and to share with the other delegates at the assembly. So the first proposed resolution is in regard to the role of the U.S. Department of Education. What they would propose to add in the way of a new resolution is the Maine School Board Association fundamentally supports the original mission of the U.S. Department of Education to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. MSBA opposes any effort that reduces federal funding to Maine schools. Any such challenge would disproportionately harm rural students, those with disabilities, and children from economically disadvantaged communities. The rationale in this is that schools across Maine and across the country have faced uncertainty around federal funding in recent months. Certain federal funds have already been withheld from Maine schools, which create budget challenges. So we'll start with this. Any thoughts, any input so far? Go, yeah.
I think the rapid changes at the federal level caused a tremendous amount of anxiety and lack of information and misinformation that has hopefully been somewhat resolved. But I definitely support any sort of proposition that kind of unnecessary disruption is really harmful to students, and I want to be really clear that it really harms the people in Scarborough who support our budgets. Because if we can't rely on not moving forward, but if we can't rely on grant funding and programs that we've already taken advantage of, and we lose that income stream mid-school year, that disruption will have an immediate and very negative impact on the current students, the current budgets. And as a school district, we have the amount of money that we passed through the prior budget year that's been approved by the voters, and so we can't absorb hits or costs. We almost lost pre-K because of the very similar situation this year. And so any instability, needs to be pushed back upon. And it's not to say that as a state, we should have, we have final say over what the federal government does with their funds, but sort of the method and the changes that are sort of being unrolled without proper information being shared and without proper education so that district leaders can adjust and for the school boards to be able to adjust with our budgets, it just really hurts our students with no appreciable benefit. And I don't think schools are the only ones experiencing this, but this is really targeted to schools and our budget process.
Thank you. So my concern's a little bit different. When I read this, I think we all probably are fundamentally aware of the issues that surround this and what it really is about, and what has happened specifically in Maine, I should say, and that is around the reason that the funding was lost is the different interpretation of rules and transgender students participating in sports. My concern with this is that I feel like this dances all around it without saying it. And what I don't want is the MSBA to take a stance without telling the school boards. So, and I don't know if that's their intent. I don't know if they are just blanket saying that there should not, be any uncertainty in funding, which I can follow that and I can agree. I just want to be very certain that they're not taking a stance without telling the state what their stance is. I don't think we can agree to something if we don't know what they're saying. So that would be my feedback. Any other thoughts? All right. Yeah.
Would we be able to find out like what maybe their stance is prior to, or like, is there feedback we can give them before I go there?
That's a great question. You might be able to do that in the, I can't promise, but you might be able to do that in the orientation
Great.
meeting you have.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
If not, if they tell you that they're not prepared to talk about it, then it would have to be at the delegates assembly. And I guess from my perspective, I would say that if you feel, I mean, you're the representative, you get to vote for us, but if you feel like they are taking a stance and you hear about it at that meeting, then my ask would be that you vote no, just because we haven't had a chance to understand that perspective and weigh in. Yeah.
I just want to clarify that because I think I agree we should not be voting for something that we don't understand what it's actually, we haven't been told what it is. I actually completely agree with that. But I would also like to say, like, this is written very neutral position-wise. And if their position is the federal government shouldn't be able to tell Scarborough School District sort of what their policies should be, it's like if it's content neutral, I do strongly support that. Like, I don't think the federal government should have minutia details into school policies on a local level. You know, we fight the state on this all the time. I'm sure as heck gonna fight the feds as well. That like Maine prizes local rule. We as a community have prized local rule. And so if they're trying to impose, whether you agree or disagree with their policy decisions, they shouldn't be able to enforce their policies through use of the budgets. Budgets should be content neutral and should be reliable and consistent. So, just a clarification.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Any other thoughts on number one? All right, the second one. The Maine School Board Association believes revenue sources to fund public schools should be raised in a fair and equitable manner based on a taxpayer's ability to pay. The rationale, the Maine legislator is considering several proposals that could impact the EPS funding formula and funding for Maine schools as a whole. Multiple bills call for the creation of a new new state funding streams to fund K-12 public education. More state funding for schools is badly needed. Local taxpayers already face substantial burdens, yet school districts face growing expenses such as rising special education costs and the maintenance and upkeep of aging school infrastructure. This resolution would provide more guidance for MSBA's legislative committee as it evaluates legislative proposals affecting Maine school funding. Do we have any thoughts we want to share with Charlotte on this?
So is this saying, so, Scarborough, Falmouth, Yarmouth, Cape, they can pay more, so they pay more, other towns pay less, but do we get less if we pay less? So we're helping pay for, Buxton or, wherever, Rumford or, whatever it is. Is that what we're? So we're gonna pay more and get less, or are we we're trying to balance it? What are we trying to do, I guess I'm not 100% sure what it's saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I can respond a little bit. Well, I think there's lots of, there's not one answer to that, there's lots of different answers to that. If you change the EPS formula, it's gonna change how people receive money. That's true. Is it gonna help us or hurt us? That's an open question. You can't predict the future. It depends on how that formula is created. but that's an open question. I think one of the issues is because Maine relies almost entirely on property tax revenue to fund our school districts, that is the only funding stream for most schools, other than the EPS formula, that the state contributes. And again, I think we should recognize that it's gotten to 55%, which was quite a fight for many years, and so I appreciate the fact that the state is paying the amount that they say they're paying. But the reality is, I think that that formula hasn't been updated. So their estimate of what the cost of education is, it may not be what we're actually spending on education per pupil across the state. And also, what this is calling for is different funding streams. So for example, there was a $125 million surplus with the state budget. By law, that portion of that goes into the rainy day fund, but that is also full at the moment, which, I'm grateful that there's good stewardship of finances, but it means that extra spillover goes into two accounts. One's the DOT and one is to the DHHS. So it doesn't mean that that's the right funding stream, but if the state creates other avenues to create streams in order to finance schools, and I think particularly around school buildings, I was talking about this in policy, or right after policy, which is, all of our school buildings are about the same age because there was a tremendous investment in school buildings at the same time, in the 50s and 60s. And so now that the buildings have all reached the end of their life, they're all failing at the same time. And so without another big investment by the state or the federal government, it's going to be difficult to replace all of our aging facilities, which is the struggle we're having right now with our primary schools, and all of that. So if there are other ways or other mechanisms, that might be tax revenue, it might be diverting revenue that's already existing, to support education, that would help our taxpayers. And I think I'm interested in any support we can give to property taxpayers to help stabilize our budgets, because the cost of education is going up. And property tax, we've heard several times, property taxes, people don't want to pay property taxes, but there's a lot of legitimate people in Scarborough who are afraid that they're not going to be able to stay in their homes because of rising property taxes. And I think we have to acknowledge that is a true statement, and we have to care for those folks as well, because they shouldn't be priced out of their homes. That's not fair either. And yet we have to educate our students.
Yeah, and I think to what I think might be your question, because I have the same concerns, I think that there are certain towns in Scarborough that are painted with a very broad brush. Scarborough is one of them. And that brush is Scarborough is wealthy, everybody in Scarborough can afford. Well, that's not true. Everybody in Scarborough can't afford. And so I think what happens is when you paint with such a broad brush, you end up, what ends up happening is that we don't get as much from state funding. So the misnomer behind the 55%, and I'm incredibly grateful for it, I want to just be on record saying that right now. The misnomer behind the 55% is it's 55% of the entire state's budget.
Correct.
We in Scarborough are not receiving 55%. We in Scarborough receive, in fact, 12%. So it's, where I agree with this sentence is all the way up to, I agree that the funding formula should be raised in a fair and equitable manner. Where I struggle is with the taxpayer's ability to pay. Because we know, we have a hard time in Scarborough passing things because people simply cannot afford it. And so I just want to be sure that that's talked about in this session. A wealthy community, the ones you name, doesn't mean everybody who lives there is wealthy, and that is not a fair assessment to make. Any other thoughts? I do have one, kind of to the school building point as well. I do think if we could, the school building funding formula is a little thorn on my side as well. We've tried twice now. Those only happen every 7 years, is that right? 7 years?
They get to decide how often they happen. But the last time was 2017 and then 2024, yes.
Yeah.
But there's no given schedule.
And of the two, the top 5 to 7, let's just say, projects were 100% funded, whereas the remainder of the list received nothing, right? And Scarborough historically has been low on the list.
Right. What happens is the state allocates $160 million per year for school building projects. And as we all have come to learn, that's about one project,
One project, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Depending on what you're looking at.
I also want to say that when we did get that funding with the middle school, we opened and required portables that year. Because, so I think when the state does fund buildings, which I believe they should, and I support that, they also need to fund adequate buildings.
Yeah, they have changed that since the 1990s, so that
Great.
you have a certain percentage above and beyond. So they did make that change.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just a
one,
little bit bitter as we work on
Yeah.
that problem right now.
yeah,
Understood.
yeah, and maybe, in my mind, I wonder if it's not, something to consider is that the advocacy work might be more toward, what if that fund, that pot, instead of funding 5 to 7 projects at 100%, what if we funded more at less than? So the taxpayers put in some, but then the state puts in some as well, and that way you're able to fund more projects, not at 100%, but you're able to provide more funding to the entire state. So that, to me, is what feels fair and equitable, right? We're all dealing with the same aging infrastructure across the entire state, all of us are. And what was this list, 90-some schools long?
97 schools.
Yeah. And so if you are only funding 5 to 7 of those projects, that leaves 90-plus projects with nothing. It's too much. All right, any other thoughts? All right, number 3, immigrant students. The Maine School Boards Association is committed to maintaining a safe and secure learning environment for all students, staff, and visitors, and believes that regardless of their immigration status, no student should be denied a free and public education. This is the rationale behind this is a 1982 Supreme Court case, Filer versus Doe, declaring that all U.S. children have a constitutional right to public education regardless of education status. In Maine, schools have seen a growing number of immigrant students in recent years in the midst of changing policies at the local, state, national levels. So it just is reaffirming the commitment to providing education for all children.
I think there's a typo in this.
Oh.
I think the first line should say, a 1982 Supreme Court case declared that all U.S. children have a constitutional right to public education regardless of immigration status.
Oh, it says education. I
It says
totally read
education status, but I'm
immigration.
pretty confident that's immigration status. Yeah, yeah.
How funny, I even read immigration. I read right over that.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind passing that editorial change on. How funny. Good catch. All right, any other thoughts on this one? Sounds like we're all in support of that one. All right, moving on to what the resolutions that are recommended for deletion. They have an administrator evaluation effectiveness resolution, that they are recommending to delete. This says that the Maine School Board Association urges local school boards to develop comprehensive evaluation policies designed to measure and improve the effectiveness of the superintendent and other school administrators. Quite frankly, I think that are there any thoughts? I think we have, in Scarborough, have parted ways a little bit with their form anyway. We did our own. We'd made our own evaluation metric and rubric, and so I don't know that this is anything I'm hung up about deleting. I would hope the boards know they have to evaluate their school board. The only thing I did say is if they were willing to update their template on a more regular basis, that would be the only reason for keeping it. But if they're not gonna do that, then. Any other thoughts there? All right, the next one is parenting education. The Maine School Boards Association urges school boards to collaborate with other community organizations to provide parenting programs in their communities. Yeah, I don't have. Any thoughts here? I don't really have much in the way of that, I'm supportive of that. The next one is citing of school construction. The Maine School Board Association opposes the passage of any legislation that unreasonably restricts the choice of school sites by local school units and/or prevents the State Board of Education from granting approval to proposed sites that do not take into account the wishes of local communities, transportation considerations, or other elements that may be factored in the citing decision. Any thoughts there? So the only thing I would say is that this, oh, sorry, go ahead, John. Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, so is it saying that, so they want to delete that so that they can restrict?
They just want to delete it as delete it from their resolution, so it's not something that they would necessarily, it's not.
So they just wouldn't be advocating for or
Yes.
against?
Yeah.
Okay.
It neither, it'd just be become neutral on it.
Oh, okay, I wanted to make sure, I'm like, doesn't mean it's the opposite of what they're doing, it's just.
No, it just
okay.
means how they're
Just
going to
cleaning it up, okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's good.
What's interesting to me as I read through these, I was telling Freyla when we were done with policy, I feel like some of these, it's almost like they were sitting in Scarborough when they wrote these or decided to delete, because a lot of these are actually impacting us, and this is one of them. So one of the things that happened during the building committee meetings, the building committee was really interested, part of the building committee was really interested in pursuing what's called a free prefab material, which is if you know of a modular home, that's what this is. It's they take the materials and they build them off-site, and then they truck the completed building in and place it. And the thought was that if they used a company to do this, they could construct the buildings in less time and then bring them over the summer, and the process would take less time. Well, what we ended up finding out is we cannot in fact use those materials. And so this became a little bit of contentious issue with the building committee. And I know there's some current members that still are a little upset that the state was able to direct a local issue when the state wasn't paying for said project. Said project. So I guess this is interesting just in light of, again, what we just talked about with all of the schools on the list. I'm not really sure, maybe they don't feel like it's a big deal. I guess it'd be interesting to hear what you heard. I'm interested to hear what you hear back on this, because I don't know if it's necessarily something that should be deleted, or maybe it's more something to consider rewriting or consider advocating in a different manner. I'm not sure.
So just to be clear, this is about the location of
Correct.
sites, not about materials and construction. I just want
Correct.
to.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I wonder.
People are listening, are following this correctly.
Yes, so that's why I'm saying I wonder if this needs to be rewritten. I don't know. I'm on the fence on it. I just know that this is something that was really impactful here. So I don't know.
I'm confused.
Yeah, my question would be, like, 20 years ago when they passed this resolution, what was going on that was prompting anxiety around the state restricting where schools were going?
Site selection, yeah.
Yeah, like why or how
Yeah.
were states impacting site selection, and like, are they discontinuing it because that's no longer an issue, or what?
Right.
It's like, so like, that would be my question. So I wonder about why is this being deleted, and why was this ever like, why
Was
ever
this
an
a
issue?
thing to begin with?
And
Yeah.
trust me, you will hear the history for hours, hours on these. So you learn a lot of things. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I'm interested in hearing what the background is for this, but I don't know, like I said, I'm not sure if perhaps this needs to go, but maybe there's something else to be discussed with it. Different, not site selections, but construction materials, the ability, I think ultimately what I think about in my head, and what was a concern for the building committee, is that does the state, when they don't pay for something, have the right to tell a local community what they can and can't use? And that's the bottom line that I think they might be able to consider here. All right, any other thoughts there? All right, the next one is teachers as legislators. The Maine School Board Association urges the legislator to amend the statute regarding teacher leave of absence as legislators by establishing a limit on the number of terms that teachers may serve as legislators under this provision.
This is obsolete. There are term limits now.
That's exactly what I wrote. There's term limits, so there's no reason to have this. So I have no problem with deleting it either. Any other thoughts? All right, and then the next one, the last one, is the Maine School Boards Association urges Congress to repeal the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset to the Social Security Act to ensure that a quality pool of teacher candidates are available to be hired so as to meet the needs of students. And also?
I just want to get, well, that's a federal law
Yes.
and that was
Yep,
repealed.
yep.
But I just want to say, like, I think a lot of times it's hard to connect MSBA and what we do and sort of going through this packet with real life. But I want to note that the Maine School Boards Association, in 2022 began working on this along with a number of other people across the country. This was a nationwide effort by a tremendous number of people because this particular law really hurt people who have pensions through any public service sector, so any government job, particularly state government jobs. It really, really made it, there was a disincentive for folks to go into teaching or to stay in teaching based on this if they had money coming in from Social Security, because most teachers participate in the Maine State Retirement System, which is separate than Social Security. And so this is actually a really good law for state employees. What it does is it says that if you worked in the private sector and then you take a government job, you're not going to be penalized for that. You still get recognized for the money that you paid into Social Security. Or more importantly, your spouse and your survivors do. So, but I think this action item, when it's hard to connect why we do this is because they joined a movement that was able to accomplish federal legislation in a really difficult climate in Washington, D.C. in the last year. And that's why this is important.
Thank you, Frayla. I'm not gonna go, the rest of so there's 15 pages in here, and the rest of them are edits that don't substantially change intent or meaning. I didn't see anything, but I do wanna open it up if anybody saw anything that was concerning to them or did in fact substantially change anything, any edits that were worrisome.
I didn't see anything worrisome, but what I did note with the local control of student transfers, which is 4.8, and that's the superintendent agreement, that has really.
Hold on, what page are you on?
I'm on page 11 of 12. It's 4.8, local control of student transfers.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about this, it's come up recently, and we have a workshop on it, which I'm looking forward to. But I would be really cautious about this. Like, I think that this statement is good. But there's a lot of different opinions regarding school choice right now. And so just to be clear, like, I'm not sure that this one sentence replaces the 3 bullet point paragraph under, like, they're like, this is a minor edit. Like, I'm not sure I agree with their determination that it was minor. But I just, it keeps the first paragraph, it strips out the bullet points. But it's a hot topic. I'm the legislative liaison. It's a hot topic at the legislature right now, and it's something that I think as a board we should be cognizant of because we don't want to give up our control over superintendent agreements. That would be very difficult for us. It would be difficult for our community, and it's probably something that we want to make sure we're really pushing back against. This seems to contemplate that. But I just want to be really clear because there were multiple, and some of them were bipartisan efforts to take away power from local school districts regarding these agreements, and we should be fighting that on every front. Like, if there's a way to strengthen that, because you can amend during your process, you will amend some of this, and I would really be like, if we could amend this to be stronger, I would amend it to be stronger. Like, we will resist any attempt to take local control about superintendent agreements away from the superintendents where they belong. But I would like to see that stronger.
I would agree. thoughts? All right, do you feel ready?
Got notes.
If anybody thinks of anything in the meantime, in the next few weeks, certainly reach out to Charlotte, with your thoughts. She can, she's got a few more weeks before she attends. All right, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to 14.2, appointments. 14.2.1 is a speech pathologist, .5.
Yes, Bethany Jensen has been selected to fill this new position. Ms. Jensen earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Communication Sciences and Disorders from Syracuse and her Master of Science degree in Clinical Speech Pathology from Northern Arizona University. She worked as a speech pathologist in RSU 5, at Mass Landing School and Pownell Elementary School. Most recently, she has been with Child Development Services, providing services to preschool students. She has also been teaching with Scarborough's Adult Education Program since 2022 and serves as the producer for Oak Hill Players and the middle school theater team here in Scarborough. So my recommendation would be to appoint her, please.
Awesome. Do I have a motion to approve the speech pathologist, the part-time speech pathologist position as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. Can we call the roll?
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstar?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff?
Yes.
Ms. Gonsalves?
Yes.
All right, that shows unanimous. Thank you.
Can I make a comment, not on specifically?
Yes.
I just want to say that in our last budget cycle, I think we fought very hard for this .5 position. And so not talking about the person at all, but just at the position. And I think it's really rewarding to see this being filled, because I know our students really need those services. And it was one of those positions that I was on the brink of maybe not being funded, and I really appreciate that we're able to fill it.
Awesome. Thank you. Agenda item 14.2.2 is the high school fall coaches.
Yes, you see the list as presented in your packet.
Do I have a motion to approve the high school fall coaches as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Can we call the vote, please?
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstar?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff?
Yeah.
Ms. Gonsalves?
Yes.
All right, that shows unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 14.2.3 is the middle school fall coaches.
Yes, similarly to what you just saw, these would be coaches at the middle school as presented, please.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the middle school fall coaches as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Can we call the vote, please?
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstar?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff?
Yes.
Ms. Gonsalves?
Yes.
All right, that shows unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 14.2.4 is a district-wide lead teachers.
Yes, so again, in your packet, you'll see that listing, and we would respectfully ask for approval.
Do I have a motion to approve the district-wide lead teachers as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Can we call the vote, please?
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Mr. Kelleher?
Yes.
Ms. Lindstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rockenstar?
Yes.
Ms. Tarpinian?
Yes.
Mr. Peony Huff?
Yes.
Ms. Gonsalves?
Yes.
All right, that shows unanimous. Thank you. With no objections, we will adjourn at 8:19 p.m. Thank you so much and have a great evening.